Hi, Gary. How frustrating a night was that for you?
Well, it wasn't a frustrating night for me at all. The fact is, we came here to do a job. We wanted to get through the tie, and we're in the draw for the group stages. I can understand where that line of questions come from. You know, we weren't at our best, but we've kept a clean sheet, bearing in mind loads of issues surrounding the squad and the people that travelled here. And we came together and we're through. That's what we wanted.
How big an effect did those issues, the off-field issues, have for you guys?
Well, listen, players are aware when they see their friends and some of the staff, you know, not travelling. It's got to affect. But we didn't use it as an excuse. We came here, looked each other in the eye, and we went, we've got a job to do, and we've done it. It wasn't pretty. I don't think we were at our best. But I would stress, listen, at kick-off it was 34, 35 degrees, I think, and then by the end of the game it only subsided to a cool 29. So it was hot. It was hot. You know, you might not see that when you're watching the game on the TV screens.
Just a word, Gary, on Robbie McCrory. I mean, didn't have too much to do tonight, but when he was called upon, I mean, a pretty mature performance from a young
No, I
goalkeeper.
absolutely agree. We've got a lot of belief in Robbie. You know, when you see him stripped and in the goal, he looks an impressive character. And as you say, I thought he dealt with the ball at his feet really well. I thought his deliveries up to the front men, you know, and trying to drop it into the striker's chest. I thought he was excellent at that. And there was a one awkward shot there, wasn't there? There was a shot from distance that moved a bit, and he handled that well. So a really impressive debut from Robbie.
And you mentioned you've made it through. Now, we spoke pre-match about how much the Europa League means, and
yes,
especially if Rangers are recent. And I suppose now you've got another 6 games to look forward to at least.
Ronnie, we're listen, to do it 4 years in the bounce, we're delighted as a staff. But me, as an ex-player, it's the players that's brilliant because for their kudos and their, you know, for their CV to actually just be in amongst, you know, listen, it would have been better of home hands if it had been the Champions League, but we're in the Europa League group stages, and it's brilliant for the players. And as I mentioned previous, the nights at Ibrox are special.
The conditions in Yerevan, as you mentioned, look to have been very draining. How do you intend to cope with that, and also the travel going back to Auchenhowie on Friday and Saturday?
Well, in our preparation, we've decided to stay over. You know, so the players are now recovering now. They'll get back to the hotel. Obviously, plenty of liquids. There'll be a lot of dehydration. So obviously, getting liquids back on board as soon as. And we don't have to rush to an airport to go and sit in an airplane for 5.5 hours. We get back to the hotel. You know, we can control the food, what the players are eating. We're guaranteed that, well, we're not guaranteed, but the players they're going to get to bed and get a decent sleep. And there's no rush in the morning, where they'll do a little recovery in the pool tomorrow morning, and then we get back to Glasgow. I think we leave here at 1 o'clock. So we felt that that's the best way to help us navigate through this weekend.
And in terms of Sunday, I'm sure most people outside the sports bubble, our eyes kind of glaze over at the complexity of the various COVID protocols that you've got to observe. How strong is the squad that you have available to you on Sunday?
Everybody who's here tonight, everybody that travels here, and will be bolstered by another 4 or 5 in my counting. We've obviously got the boys that we've got players that have been dealing with COVID issues. We've got players who have been suspended, and we've got some players that have been carrying some little niggling injuries. So we'll be well bolstered for the weekend.
Evening, Gary. Congratulations on getting through to the group stages.
Thank you.
Gary, you mentioned before maybe the performance wasn't at the level that you guys would have been looking at tonight. Maybe in the second half, it did look a little bit disjointed. Is there a concern amongst yourself, the playing staff, the coaching staff, around the kind of lack of killer instinct, the clinical finishing that we were used to last season?
Yeah, well, we were the team that I felt to, obviously we created the best chances tonight. Alfredo had 2. I felt that, you know, Alfredo we normally see him hit the back of the net. Joe Aribo was a wee bit unlucky to hit the woodwork a couple of times. But the thing is, you want to tick all the boxes. You want to keep a clean sheet. You want to, in this case, you want to go through the tie, and obviously you want to play well. We've ticked two of the 3. We can play better, but loads of things in and around the game. Bearing that in mind, listen, we go back to Glasgow in the draw, and that was the main thing. And now we can turn our attentions. We tried not to distract the players by looking ahead to the weekend, but now we can start fully focusing on that.
You mentioned obviously the weekend and the current squad looks to be available, but there was a few tackles went in tonight. One in Scott Arfield, one in Joe Rebo, and certainly one on Robbie McCrory, which looked like we saw. It's immediately after the game, but have you had any idea of injury assessments, any concerns?
No, the fact that Scott got was a wee bit of concern at half time, but Scotty just a smack in the toe, which I think he'd received one earlier to the second one, so that was just another, it was a double blow. But the Joe Rebo, everybody's fine, Robbie's fine, so clean bill of health from here so far.
Just what we spoke last night, Gary, sorry about the leaders in this group.
Yes.
You know, how important are they going to be in this next 48 to 72 hours just to reaffirm just what this fixture means and also just to ensure that everyone's getting the recovery right?
The thing is, Nick, obviously we will get the recovery right, so that we feel this is the best way to do this leading into this game. But for everybody, leaders, youngsters, inexperienced ones, what a game. What a game. You know, we'll get 50,000 Rangers fans at our ground and one of our biggest rivals coming. It's one of those games. These are the games you want to play in. Now that we've jumped into the Champions Europa League group stage, they're games that are similar. It's similar feel to them. They're big games for big players, and they need big moments during those games. So everybody's looking forward to it.